Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
Good evening and welcome to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here. No announcer guy. We couldn't get a crazy announcer guy to come on here. I like how I call him crazy. But we could not get him to come on. Something's wrong with the computer over here. Surprise, surprise. Welcome to Spooky South Coast, where we talk about the paranormal each and every Saturday night. We have about 4 minutes left in the show. No, just kidding. About 4 minutes left in the hour, so we just wanted to jump on and let you know what the plan is for tonight so that you can stick around following the news. Coming up in just a few minutes. We'll rerun that opening. We'll see if we can get the announcer guy to actually talk. He's not crazy. I don't know what I was saying. So we will be talking about the paranormal. We have our guests in the studio, Pete and Donna Stagman of ParaHunter. They'll be here to talk with us about some of their investigations, some of their cases, some of the equipment that they use, and we'll kick around some theories about the paranormal in our area. And also joining us a little bit later on in the program will be Carlston Chops Woods, an old friend of the show, who will talk with us about Phantom PI and the new upcoming episode of that program, which you can catch on Wareham Community Access Television, and which we'll be carrying on Spooky TV at SpookySouthCoast.com as well. Speaking of SpookySouthCoast.com, if you are listening from home, or if you are out and about and listening on your mobile device, feel free to go to SpookySouthCoast.com where you can jump into the chat room, and that's your opportunity to interact with some of the other listeners of the program, and you can also watch what goes on in the studio tonight on Spooky TV, which we've got the cameras rolling tonight. We're doing pretty good here. We're high tech tonight.
Yeah.
After the last two shows where I've been by myself and it's been mysterious crash after mysterious crash. Not the kind of mysterious crashes that you investigate, Moniz, but the kind that I cause and then call a mystery to make it sound like I know what I'm doing. I don't know why it didn't work out. Hey, you know what I should do before we take a break?
What?
Well, first of all, I should say welcome back to the studio to you. It's been a few weeks since you've been here.
Yeah, a couple of investigations I've been going on, enjoying it.
There's a rumor going around that the silent assassin Matt Costa will be here as well.
He will?
Maybe.
In person?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. And but while we have a few minutes, just want to promote something real quick. If you go to SpookySouthCoast.com, you'll see a link to donate to Wareham Little League for their upcoming 24-hour baseball game. My son Adam is raising money for Wareham Little League. Now, last year, the Spooky South Coast listeners came through, and we were able to make Adam the number 7 overall fundraiser, or number 6, I'm not sure which one, overall for the entire Wareham Little League, and he got a chance to meet Nomar Garcia-Parra at a special luncheon for that. This year, it's a little bit different. The grand prize is 4 tickets to the Red Sox and a limo ride and all kinds of stuff, but the top 5 kids get an iPad 2, and 6 through 10 get an iPod Touch, and he really wants the iPad. And he's promised that I can commandeer it on Saturday nights to use it here in the studio. So if that's not a reason for you to donate, I don't know what is. So and also there is another reason to donate, actually, because anybody who donates over $50 or more will get a batch of my wife's homemade cookie bars, which anybody that's been to one of our Legend Trips events can talk about. So that is the deal that we have going on. So just go to SpookySouthCoast.com and you'll see the link there to donate directly to Adam's fundraising campaign. I'm sure I'll push this down your throats a few more times in the coming weeks, and maybe even tonight as well. So we're going to take a break for the news. When we come back on the other side, Pete and Donna Stagman will join us. We'll talk about the paranormal here on Spooky South Coast.
First with local news, talk, and sports. This is WBSM New Bedford, AM 1420. WBSM, a Cumulus station.
From ABC News, I'm Todd Ed. Blind Chinese legal activist Chen Guangcheng, who was suddenly allowed to leave the country, arrived in the U.S. at Newark Liberty International Airport earlier this evening. ABC's Nick Schifrin has more.
Chen's release from Chinese custody reads like a spy novel. He fled house arrest in the middle of the night, the U.S. rushed him into the embassy using getaway cars. But the fact that he is coming to New York to study is a sign that the relationship between the U.S. and China has matured. And the man whose aviator glasses became a symbol of human rights is now free after 7 years of Chinese persecution.
After arriving in New Jersey, Chen and his entourage then left and went to New York University, where he'll stay and study law for the next 2 years at least. The G8 summit at Camp David, Maryland ended. Before heading to Chicago for the NATO summit, though, President Obama spoke about what was accomplished.
As all the leaders here today agreed, growth and jobs must be our top priority. A stable, growing European economy is in everybody's best interests, including America's.
This is Ann Compton, and as President Obama jets from the G8 summit at Camp David to the much larger NATO summit in downtown Chicago, the diplomatic focus is expanding. NATO partners are growing weary of the 10-year war in Afghanistan. The Chicago meeting could produce a faster timetable for withdrawal if other countries invited to the summit help with development aid to Afghanistan.
And Compton reporting, in a carbon copy of the Kentucky Derby, I'll Have Another did it again at the Preakness Stakes. The dream of a Triple Crown still very much alive now, with the horse edging Bodemeister by a head at the finish just like 2 weeks ago in Louisville. I'll Have Another will now head to the Belmont Stakes in New York in 3 weeks with a chance to make racing history. Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg updated his status to married. He got married this afternoon. This is ABC News.
Hello, this is Bank. How can I help you?
Yeah, hi. My wife and I just had a baby, and I need to cash in my CD early.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank
Please
you.
note, early withdrawal penalties do apply. These are up to but not restricted to 50% of the CD's value. All withdrawals...
We're not sure what some banks mean when they say, how can I help you? At Ally Bank, we offer a no-penalty CD that lets you withdraw all your money after the first week of funding and keep the interest earned with no penalties. That's how Ally helps. Ally Bank. No nonsense, just people sense. Member FDIC.
Fram filters can take a beating. At the Fram Proving Grounds, they get the pound test, where they're hit with 100 psi of pressure every second for 30,000 seconds. This leads to tough, tested Fram filters, like Fram Extra Guard, built to protect 3 times better than average economy filters. Don't settle for a cheaper filter. Use Fram Extra Guard. Tested, proven, and pounded into shape at the Fram Proving Grounds. Fram, don't fail your engine. See us hit our filters with more tests at fram.com.
Some bars inside San Francisco are going high-tech to give you the lowdown on who's inside. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
You walk by a crowded bar, but is a group inside going to be any fun? How old are the people inside? Are they mostly men or women? A new app will tell you. It's called Scene Tap, and 25 bars in San Francisco are on board. Using biometrics, a camera at the bar's front door scans the faces of everyone walking inside. Then you boot up the app and can check on the demographic inside the bar. Privacy rights groups are angry and are even boycotting those bars now. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Could take a long time for Joplin, Missouri to completely recover from a deadly tornado. ABC's Daria Albinger talks about the economic impact.
Joplin, Missouri's come a long way since last year's tornado, the deadliest twister in 6 decades. Now we're learning it was also the costliest storm of its kind since at least 1950. Insurance is expected to cover most of the $2.8 billion in damage, but taxpayers may have to pay for some of the $500 million in federal and state disaster aid. That includes $372,000 for shelter and care for homeless pets.
Daria Albinger reporting. The first tropical storm of the season formed earlier today off the coast of South Carolina. Top winds of about 45 miles an hour, but not threatening land. And forecasters say the storm called Alberto was centered about 140 miles east of Charleston, South Carolina. This is ABC News.
Do you have unfiled tax returns or owe the IRS or state more than $10,000? If you don't take action now, your tax problem is only going to get worse. Seizure of property, bank levies, wage garnishments, and potential criminal prosecution. Call the experts at U.S. Tax Shield for help at 1-800-334-5070. Our tax advisors will review your case for free, inform you of your rights, and give you a guaranteed quote. And we have an A+ rating with the BBB, so get protected. Call U.S. Tax Shield now at 1-800-334-5070.
Todd and ABC News.
From the vantage point, Mafatu saw 6 war canoes drawn up on the beach, but what held the boy's eyes in awful trance were the figures springing and leaping about the flames, darting, shifting, bounding toward the sky. The eaters of men. cannibals. Firelight glistened on their oiled bodies, on flashing spears and bristling decorations. Mafatu watched the strange scene, powerless to move, and he felt doom itself breathing chill upon his neck. In that very instant, he heard a crashing in the undergrowth. 4 figures were tearing toward him through the jungle. He could see them now. He turned and ran blindly down the trail, slipping, sliding, stumbling, his breath all but choking in his throat. Only one thought gave him courage as he ran. His canoe ready and waiting. If only he could reach it before the savages overtook him. Explore new worlds. Find out what happens next by reading the book Call It Courage by Armstrong Sperry. For other great book ideas, visit literacy.gov. A message from the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Hey, when do you crave the refreshing taste of iced tea? Twisted Tea wants to know. After mowing the lawn, at a barbecue, on a really hot day, think about that same satisfying glass of iced tea, but with a kick. Twisted Tea is a hard iced tea that's made from beer, but tastes like real iced tea. And nothing satisfies like an ice-cold Twisted Tea. The next time you and your friends are looking for some refreshment, but you need a little kick, grab a Twisted Tea, the refreshing hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Drink responsibly.
Today we want to find out how big a good marriage is.
You mean how many people it affects?
Yes.
Let's go find out.
How big is it? I can't measure it.
Big!
It's worldwide. I would say as big as the universe, and that universe is infinite.
Today we want to find out how big a good marriage is.
You mean how many people it affects?
Yes.
Let's go find out.
How big is it? I can't measure it.
Big!
It's worldwide. I would say as big as the universe, and that universe is infinite.
So your marriage affects more than just the two of you.
How many people are we talking about?
At least 1,000.
Thousands.
Yeah!
If you bring joy to your marriage, people are kind of like, I want that too.
You're drawn to that because you see those nice people being together, being happy, and you want to enjoy that too.
If you were going to take all these people that your marriage has influenced, what kind of building would you need to house them all?
It's going to be quite a big building.
Stadium.
We're not the stadium level, a gymnasium.
Oh, that would have to be a cathedral.
So a good marriage really is good for more than two.
Yeah, a good marriage goes a long way.
Want to improve your marriage? For ideas, go to foryourmarriage.org. A message from the Catholic Church.
Welcome to spooky Southcoast. Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
AM 1420, WBSM presents Spooky South Coast with your hosts Tim Weisberg and Matt Costa.
All right, welcome back to Spooky South Coast. After that brief interlude for the news, we are back. We are going to talk about the paranormal, I promise, for an abbreviated portion of this Saturday evening. And, of course, if you are new to the program, if you're hearing us for the first time, we are on every Saturday night. Usually, well, we try to be on every Saturday night. We try to be on around 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 10:15, 10:20. I don't know, it depends. Because we have a multimedia presentation here. It's not just the radio show. It's also Spooky TV at SpookySouthCoast.com. So there's all kinds of things to get up and running. So we try to do it as best we can. But we do have Pete and Donna here from ParaHunter. We'll talk to them in just a few minutes. But we'll bring them in for this discussion because I was going to have a little Week in Weird segment here. Say hi to the folks, people. Sorry.
Hey there.
We're going to go over this really quickly because there's a bunch of news here that we could cover. But this one here is just what we want to hear as we're letting our evening meals settle and we're getting ready to turn in for the night. A Michigan teenager found an unexpected item on his Arby's sandwich, a human finger. Ryan Hart, 14 years old, was eating a roast beef sandwich when he bit into a piece he described as particularly rubbery. He spit out the item, which turned out to be part of a finger measuring about 1 inch long and a 1/4 inch thick, the Jackson Citizen Patriot reports. Health officials said a worker likely left her area after cutting her finger on a meat slicer, and other employees, allegedly unaware of their coworker's injury, continued with their regular duties. So once informed of the incident, the restaurant team stopped food production and cleaned and sanitized the restaurant. So what I want to know is, you cut your finger off on a slicer, and then you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to keep this to myself. I don't want anybody to know that I just sliced my finger off. And you calmly just leave your station and walk away. No, that doesn't happen at all. When I cut my finger off on a meat slicer, every time I've ever done it, I can tell you that it's been a very loud and not pleasant experience. So I'm not buying that story for a minute.
No, they gave him the finger.
Yeah, literally. It's like that movie The Wrestler, where just to feel something, he just sticks his hand in the meat slicer. Who knows? Maybe that's what it was. Or it could be the secret ingredient to make Arby's roast beef what it is. Because particularly rubbery.
It is good mood food.
I like how he says he described the roast beef sandwich as particularly rubbery. Like as if to say normally an Arby's roast beef sandwich is rubbery, but this one is just particularly rubbery. So anyway, I have a little list here of some other gross out grub that's been reported over the last few years. Just a few days ago, a man found a deep-fried cockroach in his McDonald's hash brown, and when he complained to the manager, they offered him a free breakfast voucher to make up for it. So that certainly clears it up. March 2012, a woman claimed she found a live maggot in her fries at Wendy's, but it was just a noctoid moth larva found only in outdoor habitats. It was just an accident that I got in there. It doesn't change the fact that there was a maggot in her food. In April 2012, an Illinois woman ordered eggs from McDonald's and found razor blades beneath them. The manager explained to police that the razors are used to clean tight corners on the grill, so that's all right. This guy, Andrew Brodsky, found an unidentified animal toe in his container of Sabra spinach and artichoke dip. Well, if it's unidentified, how do you know it was an animal toe? This is a good one. I'm sure, Moniz, you've gone to the supermarket and had yourself some samples. Sometimes when money's a little tight, you go to the supermarket and only have samples. We've all been there.
Yeah.
A grocery store worker pleaded guilty recently to handing out semen-tainted yogurt samples at an Albuquerque grocery market. Here's one also from the Semen Food Group. A New York woman sued a sushi bar after she tasted semen in the sauce atop her spicy tuna in June 2008. She says she still has samples frozen in her refrigerator, just in case she wants to have kids. But here's what I find interesting about that. Like, I don't care if I tasted it in my sushi. I would probably keep it to myself so as not to be, hey, here, I'm the person that publicly will admit I know what semen tastes like. So a Louisiana woman...
Monica.
That was on the dress. That was a little bit different. A Louisiana woman sued Applebee's for damages after she claimed a fingertip in her lunch salad gave her post-traumatic stress disorder. That was just a tip of the finger there. So that's not as bad as finding the whole finger in it. An upstate New York man found a bloody Band-Aid baked into the crust of his Pizza Hut pizza. A couple found a disemboweled mouse in their Dole packaged salad mix last June. A California man claimed to find a condom in his French onion soup at a Claim Jumper restaurant. Here's a good one for you, Moniz. A woman eating a hot dog at Costco, which, that kind of just...
Yeah.
That starts it off right there. Why are you eating a hot dog in Costco? She swallowed a piece of a Hebrew National brand hot dog in the shopping aisle of Costco before she realized it contained a piece of metal. X-rays revealed that the hot dog contained a live bullet.
Okay.
So apparently when you're out there in the wild trying to shoot hot dogs, because we all know...
Well, you use small caliber. So.
How much meat is there in there? Yeah, buckshot will do the job. Every time I'm out looking at and finding wild hot dogs out there, I just use buckshot or bow and arrow.
They're dangerous.
Yeah, you got to watch out for those. They travel in packs. A Baltimore man
usually of 8.
A Baltimore man,
but only 6 buns.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. A Baltimore man was eating fried chicken from Popeyes in September of 2003 when he discovered the fast food store had inadvertently fried a mouse along with the chicken parts. I'm sure then they just tried to claim it as, some Louisiana recipe. And in July 2009, this is my favorite, a German tourist claimed to find a used tampon in a steak at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. Not at Arby's, not at Wendy's, not at Denny's, the Waldorf Astoria.
He did.
Yeah, he did. They said, how do you like your steak? He said, I like it bloody. So he was setting himself up for that. All right, that's just a little quick list to make you feel sick on this Saturday evening. But now let's get right into the discussion tonight with our guests, Pete and Donna Stagman of ParaHunter. They're a local group based out of Lakeville. And you guys got some other members, too, so you probably have some reaches into some other communities as well.
Yeah, we have 2 other members in Connecticut. One's in, I think they're both in Putnam. Yeah, they're both in Putnam, Connecticut. And how we met up was they actually had asked us to help out with a site in Connecticut. So that's kind of become a place that we go a lot.
So it's probably killer on the gas tank.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, especially in the Jeep with the V8. You know.
Well, how did ParaHunter come together? How did you guys originally start the group?
Ever since Donna and I got married, every house that we've lived in, like the first house that we lived in, there's always been something going on. The first house we lived in, we actually had. So it's kind of a cool story. I was sitting downstairs. She was upstairs with her daughter, who was about 5 at the time.
5, 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6 at the time, and she went upstairs to put her to bed. I'm sitting downstairs watching TV, and out of the corner of my eye, I see a little girl walk across the room, go into the bathroom, turn on the light, shut the door, and I yelled. I'm like, "Hey, Carrie, what are you doing down here?" I hear her yelling from upstairs. She says, "Who are you talking to?" I said, "Carrie." She says, "Carrie's right in front of me." I'm like, "No, she's not. She's in the bathroom." I'm like, "No." She says, "Yes, she is. I'm looking at her." So I got up, I ran to the door, I opened up the door, the light was on, and the toilet was flushing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's
good.
That was the first time that, since we were together. And ever since then, there's a whole bunch of different stories. Every house that we've lived in has had various degrees of activity.
At least that one was polite enough to flush.
Yeah.
Yes, and she sprayed, too.
You got to talk into the mic.
There we go. And so it sounds like then you had good reason to want to get into this field and to start, conducting these investigations and good practice grounds doing it at home. Do you investigate in your own homes? Is that kind of an off-limits area for you?
Sort of, but not really. Nothing official. We don't want to stir anything up in our own home. But we have the second house that we lived in was actually right near the Wamp.
Yeah, okay?
We have an injury.
It was right near the Wampanoag Reservation in Assonet.
Mm-hmm.
And that place was crazy. It was actually built into the side of a hill, so half the house was underground.
Oh, wow.
And you could walk around back and walk up, literally just walk right up onto our roof. And we would hear all night long, stuff walking around on the roof. And we'd go out there and be nothing out there. We thought it was, animals, coyotes, deer, whatever. And there would never be anything out there. There was another area of that house there used to be the wood pile. And that's where we'd go out to get our wood for the winter to put in the wood stove. And we'd go out there, and it was just the creepiest feeling.
It was dead silent.
Dead
always.
silent. And none of the animals.
No chirping.
Nothing. If you tried to bring our dog out there, she would actually. This dog was, the sweetest dog. But if you tried to pull her out there, she would just stop at the edge of it and not go. Cats wouldn't go there. So I was talking to a friend of mine who was actually a Cherokee shaman. And I was telling him these stories, and he's like, "Yeah, right, okay." So he brought him down there, and he walked into the area. He's like, "Oh, so where's this area?" I said, "It's right over here. Follow me." And he walked into the area, and he's like, "Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad." So he actually came back a couple days later, and he did a little Cherokee ceremony. And it calmed it down. It never totally went away, but it calmed it down.
It made it livable.
What's that?
Made it livable.
Made it livable.
So it definitely seems like, we talk all the time about how this area has heightened activity, but it seems like either something may be following along with you guys, or you just seem to be finding it.
Just seems wherever we go, there's already something there. Yeah.
Ghost magnet.
So what do you think is the reason why for that? I mean, is there something in your background? Is it just your personality? It's the fact that you're accepting of it, so therefore it seeks you out?
Little of all of it. Yeah. I mean, all my life I've seen, crazy stuff. It seems like no matter where we go. We worked up in a witch shop up in Salem for a while. A friend of ours owned. And we'd be up in there, and we saw some crazy stuff inside the shop at night. After it was closed down, we'd be sitting around and, talking. And there was this one time where there was this mist came in from under a door and almost did this serpentine thing around the place. And we're looking at each other. I'm like, "Are you seeing that?" And the guy who owned the place, Greg, he goes, "Oh yeah, that happens all the time." And, and that doesn't freak you out? No.
So now, you said that you do investigations in a variety of different places, but you must get called for a lot of cases directly in your own area because there is so much activity in what we call the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We live in the Bridgewater Triangle, so we're always in the area. We get a lot of email
Mhm.
asking us to do investigations, and that's how we've gotten most of our our privates. But we like to do the common ones too, like the Slater Mills.
Sure.
And, we're actually doing the Shanley next month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we hang around with Steve and Riley from Black Cross.
Mhm.
So we do I've done a few investigations with them.
BBC.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did the British Beer Company in Walpole.
Which we're going to be going back to.
And not have to wait hours and hours and hours to get to it this time.
And not have a
Yeah.
Actually, we went back there about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago, and we talked to the owner. We told him what happened that night, and he says, "Well, the next time I want to be there. That won't happen." So that's a good, and he's a money guy, so he's usually somewhere else. He's not in the
Sure,
place.
yeah. And that's what happens, and you probably experience this going into different businesses for
Mhm.
investigations is, you get permission from one person, and then when you get there, the people who are working are kind of just like, no, we got to go through our routine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't mix that up. We had a chance to investigate the Millicent Library on a couple of occasions here in Fairhaven, but every time it was like, but we have to be open while you're doing it, and you have to leave when we close. So it's like, how's that really going to work out? But it did work out great in terms of being able to debunk some of the claims, because it didn't matter if it was opened or closed. We were able to figure out where some of these claims are coming from. So I guess you kind of have to work around their schedules, but then if they're serious about the activity, I think it kind of works in the way of, if they're experiencing it and they don't understand it, then they're going to want you to come and they're going to be accommodating. But if it's because you've heard of other people's experiences and they're accommodating you and letting you come in, then it's kind of like, all right, you got to work around our schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be a little bit maddening, but you do what you got to do. Now, when you do a lot of these residential hauntings, these private hauntings, is it a matter of, are there significant themes that stand out from one case to another? Does it seem like there are certain types of activity in this area? I know we talk a lot about King Philip's War and about a lot of these older spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And I seem to think that those are a lot of the more prevalent spirits that people are encountering around here.
Yeah, a lot of around here, it's
Yeah, you
we
got
call
the two-finger rule.
I'm okay. More residual sort of haunting type things, the looping, the playing over and over and over.
Sure, yeah.
And we've had that conversation with people a lot of times where maybe it's not so much, because they'll say, my house, I just built it. It's not 10 years, 15 years old, whatever. And you explain to them, it might be the land.
Yeah. That's the number one thing you hear from people all the time, but nobody's ever died in my house. Well, so? What does that have to do with anything?
Well, nobody's ever died in a cemetery either.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, you like to think they all did.
I beg to differ with you.
Not officially.
Well, actually, back in older times,
yeah, you're talking about the people who were buried alive. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I hope everybody that's in the cemetery died.
Yeah.
Not necessarily there, but let's hope that they're
people are just dying to get in.
Yeah, literally. And so, but there are a lot of these older ghosts in this area that I think other parts of the country don't get to experience. They have more of the newer haunts, and we're able to have some of the oldest part of American history, so we have some of the oldest ghosts.
Yeah.
So that must be pretty special, though, when you're going into houses that are 200, 300 years old.
Well, that's true, because like last year we went out on the West Coast. We were over in Seattle.
Yeah, we went to Kells. Kells
Irish pub.
Yep.
And it's funny because we did a ghost haunt,
a ghost tour. Yeah.
Yeah, in Seattle, and
And they're talking about this building is almost 100 years old, and we're like, what?
Wow.
Really? My house is more than 100 years old.
They do have an underground city, though, so they kind of do get a pass.
But even that is still only 100 years old.
It's still pretty cool, though.
It is pretty cool.
It's like, they're like, oh, here's, they take you on the tour. Here's where Jimi Hendrix's ghost is. Here's where Lane Stanley's ghost is. It's like, well, these guys have only been dead 30, 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
But here, I think, especially in the Bridgewater Triangle area, we're pretty privileged because we know that we can go out almost any time and have activity happen.
Mm-hmm.
What's the frequency of actual captures for you guys? Because I know you use some different equipment than other people would normally use. How often do you actually come out with good hard evidence?
As far as EVPs go, every time we go out, we catch EVPs. We may or may not ever catch anything on film or video, or on a digital camera or video, but always EVPs. I can't think of a case we've done where we haven't caught something, or at least something that we couldn't identify as something else.
Mm-hmm. And I think too that the good part about that is the more you become, and I'm sure you guys have talked with people like Mike Markowitz about, the more you do it, the more trained you become to it, and the more you can actually figure out the right circumstances to be able to capture.
It's funny. We were talking about this last night to somebody, and somebody said, "I never catch anything," and I said, when do you start recording? Oh, when we're investigating. I'm like, no, start recording as soon as you get there, and don't turn it off until you leave. Because 90% of the stuff that we catch is when we're setting up or we're packing up, and we're just sitting around talking, and you get replies to what you're talking about. It's wild.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at it from the ghost point of view, when do you want to kind of make yourself known? What's the fun of talking to somebody when they're asking you a direct question? You'd rather just butt into their conversations.
Yep.
Ghosts are nosy too. You know? Well, one of the things that I want to talk to you about is when we first met when you guys came in with Riley and Steven when they were on to talk about Slater Mill. And then we ran into each other at the Southcoast Paranormal and Psychic Fair, and you guys were talking about these glasses that you use on investigations.
Yep.
And you have them right there, and we've got you on camera if you want to just pop them on. And
this one here, Yep, so I've got this.
Your
this is,
local source for news 7 days a week is AM 1420 WBSM.
Yes, Lord.
God here.
I've got the lenses out of these because I like to wear them at night. And with the lenses popped out, you don't get the fingerprints. So there's nothing to bother you, and you really don't even notice that you're actually wearing them. So these are modified. They actually have the IR emitters on them, and I don't know if this will actually pick it up, but if I turn this on, it'll probably... Did you see that come on?
Yep.
Yeah. So these actually have IR emitters that I've made. They're on the side here. We sell these glasses. Let me take them off now. You can get the standard low light that we sell for $99. You can get the IR version for $150. Those are both with 4 gig memory sticks in them. They actually take a micro SD card that just pops in and out. And we have an optional 16 gig that you can get for an extra $16. So it's not bad, $16 for 16 gig.
Yeah, that's worth it.
Yep. And we also have, like the IR emitters. I'll probably start selling those soon. I'm making those myself. They'll probably go for about $30. And then the other thing that we have is this tablet here. So you can actually watch what's going through the glasses and walk around with the tablet in your hands and see what the glasses are seeing. So you could actually walk around in pitch black. We're still testing that, so that's not for sale yet, but it'll probably be around the $500 range for the tablet.
You're working on live stream.
Yeah, well, we're also working on live streaming directly from the glasses. And you can get the glasses both from our site and also from Black Cross Paranormal. They're partnered with us on the glasses.
And I had the chance to use them at our graveyard shift at Slater Mill event, and I can tell you that they are extremely lightweight. I mean, the glasses that I'm wearing now to do the show are actually more heavier on my face than using those.
Yeah, you barely notice them. They're really, really light. Yeah, I started using them. I actually found them. They were being carried by a company for motorcycles, to do motorcycle runs. So that's why they were glasses. And then I kept calling up the company that manufactured them, and I said, I'd really love to get these in night vision with infrared. And they kept asking me, why would you want sunglasses with night vision? That didn't make any sense to them. So I finally convinced them to do it. So that's how we're getting. So we're the only ones that can get them with the modified for night vision.
Nice. And I can tell you too that they are very. Imagine like you're carrying your video camera, you're carrying your EVP recorder. Now you can get rid of those. And you can have your hands free to do other things, and it's all being taken care of right on your face. And it does give you a firsthand perspective of the investigation. We were using them. I was showing them to some of the other people at the Slater Mill event, and they were just fascinated by the fact that aside from the evidence that they might capture, and aside from being able to have their hands free of carrying other equipment now, they have that first-person point of view of the investigation. So it's kind of like another tool when they go back and they can review evidence, because they can say, here's what I was doing. Here was my perspective. This is what I was looking at when I saw this.
Right.
So it kind of gives you more of an...
and conversation. This is AM 1420, WBSM.
Funny thing is I have that on auto, too. It's not supposed to be firing off on its own, but that's all right. But they like the fact that it gives them that extra narrative to the investigation.
Yeah. The other reason that I like them is, if you're sitting there with like a camcorder and you're shooting down like a hallway or something, and you turn your head and you see something over there, by the time you get your camcorder there, it's long gone. So these are wherever you're looking, that's where they're looking. And that's one of the reasons I originally got them. Because I kept missing stuff. But I go, I saw something over there. By the time I got the camera there, it's gone.
So now, do you find that you use those pretty much exclusively now?
Again, as soon as I get there, I turn them on, and I don't take them off until we're done.
And the crazy part is the audio on them.
Yeah, the audio is actually really good. All the Slater Mill EVPs, all except for one of them, came from the glasses.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're available on your website, ParaHunter.com.
ParaHunter.com. They're in the store, and you can you can also get them at BlackCrossParanormal.com.
And your site's linked up on SpookySouthcoast.com as well if people want to go there and check it out. And they can also see some of your public investigations that you've done. You mentioned Slater Mill, and we had you guys in here when we were talking with Riley and Steven about Slater Mill. What were your impressions of the place when you had the chance to investigate it?
I'd love to spend a night there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the 90-minute or 2-hour tour wasn't enough. Yeah, really want to get in up into the top floors of the buildings and stuff like that.
Well, when we did our event, we had pretty much unfettered access to the place, and we had little bits of personal experiences coming from all corners of it. And actually, the Paranormal Expeditions girls recently released their episode of Paranormal Expeditions that was filmed there that night at that event. And there's things that are happening down there that I didn't realize were going on during the course of the night. They were capturing some light anomalies. They were getting some sensations. They were being touched, and then we have people in the other buildings that are saying, yeah, I was getting touched too. So it seems like there's definitely something there that wants to reach out and get a hold of you.
Yeah, we one of the EVPs we caught is absolutely amazing. It's a gunshot. I don't know if you
I've heard that. Yeah.
Oh, it was unbelievable. And yeah, it sounds like a flintlock pistol. And it's me and Steve again. He was asking me, hey, have you seen where my son went? And I said, I think he went outside. And you hear the gun cock and fire. And then I'm going, oh yeah, here he is. I mean, it's obvious that we didn't hear it. And it was.
I'm pretty sure that if you're looking for your son and you hear a gunshot,
you're gonna go running.
If we would have heard that, we would have made note.
But that just goes to show you, though, that when they do happen, it doesn't have to have anything to do with what you're talking about either. It can just be some residual sound. And it seems like more and more I'm hearing people, that's what they're capturing. It's not so much the intelligent direct responses, but it's those residual sounds. So I wonder if we're kind of peeling away at the layers between our world and theirs, and now we're starting to capture a lot more of this stuff.
Right.
Next time, 10 years from now, you could be going there and turning on the tape recorder, and all you hear is sound that you can't explain anymore because that veil's getting thinner and thinner. Now, when you're out there and doing all these investigations and you're in the thick of it weekend after weekend, how does it affect you then when you go home? You kind of want to get away from all that stuff, but you're going back to a place where there is activity. Is there a way that you've reached an agreement with it where it kind of can shut itself off when you're around? Or
the place where we're currently living is actually pretty quiet. Sometimes you feel like you're being watched. And I've gone around with an EMF, and it's pretty flat. Other than being near the microwave or the TV, it's pretty flat in there. But sometimes you get a little creepy feeling of being, watched or whatever. She's saying no. I said, what do you get? What do you say? That's what I say.
No, the corner of the house they come through. It's like an area of the house they just come through.
Like a portal almost, like they're just
yeah, pretty much. They just pass through here and there. You know what I mean? I'm a little sensitive, so I kind of pick up on stuff. And every house has been different. This one, it's more of a portal, like you said. It's just one particular area. You see them out of the corner of your eye. It's kind of like a black shape, mist sort of thing. And
like a shadowy mass, or more like transparent, or?
No, more like a shadowy mass. And then they're gone. But it's like a split second. They don't hang around. The other houses we lived in, no, they hung around.
Yeah. The other houses were crazy.
They hung around.
This has been nice and comfortable, and they don't bother us.
Well, I know some people try to have the spirits cross over that are in their house. Do you guys think that you can that they can cross over? I mean,
I'm sure they can, but if they don't want to, or if they,
I mean, how would you feel if someone walked into your house and told you to get out? I mean, really?
They're always telling us to get out.
Yeah. I've never been welcomed in.
I was going to say it's not just the ghosts.
But I mean, I do think that, I mean, not to disparage the work of any of our friends and people in our audience who that's the work that they do, that they help spirits cross over. But I almost wonder if it's like, when somebody goes in there and says, we're going to help you cross into the light, it's more like the spirit saying, okay, well, I'm getting the vibe here that they don't want me around, so I'm just going to hang back and not really bother them as much.
I mean, when we take on a case, if a residential per se, we're very clear. That's not what we do. We'll go in there, we'll try to figure out what's going on. If we can gather some evidence, a name, something, and pass it along to the property owner. That's one thing, to help them figure out what's going on. But we don't cross people over.
And if they, if they're adamant that they want it out, we'll refer them to some other people, but we won't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since, you never know. You could be trying a ceremony with the intention of helping a
and
spirit
just
cross
making it
over.
much worse. Yeah.
You're just inviting something more negative to come in.
We don't do that. We do this, I mean, because we have an interest in it, but, we also have a part of us that, hey, if it was me, I'd like some help. I want someone to, clarify that I'm not going crazy. And we kind of look at it like that. But as far as passing people through over, demons, this, that, and the other, that's not what we do. But if we suspect there is some activity there that may be of the unfriendly nature or maybe could cause some harm down the road, then we'll refer them to the proper people.
You mentioned the D word there, and I have to ask you, what have you ever encountered anything that you thought was, a demonic entity, something that was that negative?
We totally disagree on demonic. I don't believe in demonic. She does. My opinion is, if it was something that was never human, why would it follow our standards? I mean, is a shark evil, because it eats other animals? Are we evil because we eat cows? So is a demon evil because it does whatever it does? I'm not ready to say that. She's pretty adamant that there are certain things that are evil. Yeah,
there's good and bad.
Well, it definitely sounds then like it would be a case that you wouldn't feel comfortable taking on yourselves.
Right.
And that's just it. I mean, I say that straight up whenever we're going to, especially residential cases, because you never know what you're walking into. If I cannot assure the safety of my team, then you know what, we might have to pass this along to someone else.
Yeah,
that can.
And luckily, there are people in the area that can take on those kind of cases too. So we are fortunate in that regard here. So what's coming up then on the docket for some of your other public investigations? Some places that you're going to go out there and that you might be putting up on your website some of the results of them.
Well, we have BBC. We're going to be redoing BBC, and then we also have Plymouth.
Yeah, that's not going to be. Yeah, but I don't think we're doing it in public. That one. That's just going to be us.
That's pretty much us.
Yeah, but it might be something that you might have the results of.
Oh yeah, we'll
site.
definitely have the results on the site.
As long as
if we have a permission from any of even the residentials, we'll put them up as long as we get permission.
As give us permission, we will never post anything that
we just did the one last night, and we've already got permission to anything we have. Anything we find, we can put up.
Nice. But even still.
He actually said he wants to start, doing some investigations with us.
That's what happens.
Excellent,
That's what happens.
And then, of course, we have the Shanley next month on 23rd.
Yeah, that's actually put on by Glory Haunt Hounds.
Yep. Awesome
gloryhaunt.com. Yeah, they're really great people, and they invited us to come out to a big event that they're having. So we're going to be going out there with a ton of equipment and setting up out there with them.
And then September, we got the
Para-Unity
Con up in Nashua, New Hampshire, I believe.
Yeah. It's definitely changes your schedule becoming a paranormal investigator, because not only do you have the investigations, but you have the networking that's involved too. So it keeps you busy, but it's fun. I mean, it sounds like to you guys, like it's something. We talked with Riley and Steven about what it's like to investigate as husband and wife, and it sounds like it's something that you both enjoy together. I'm sure that
we disagree on some things.
I'm sure there's some arguments. Yeah. I'm sure that sometimes too, as we talked about with them, sometimes the energy of being a couple will have an effect on the energy of the investigation, both good and bad. I mean, has there been any examples where, you feel like you brought some of your own tension into the environment and kind of and changed some of the factors?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's more about when we're going over the evidence. We'll argue over what something says or or what we see, and I'll be like, no, that's me.
Use a strong word.
Well,
discourse.
Discuss. Yeah, my ducking plates and stuff like that.
I do find that my parents used to play poker together with a group of people, and so people always were like, well, you two are married, so you guys are kind of stacking the deck against us, because you know each other and you can sense what the other person has without even having to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of an unfair advantage. And I think that, in an investigation, that same type of communication can happen, whether it be married couples, siblings, just anybody that's really close, Jason and Grant, just two people that have known each other forever. It's a matter of you can kind of just look at each other and kind of know where to go and kind of just feed off each other's vibes. So it probably does cause for a lot of nice, easy shortcuts in investigations too.
Sometimes we switch it up a lot, though. The other two people, Kim and Eric, the other two members of our team, they're friends, and sometimes.
And they're fairly new at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've had experiences in their own lives with the paranormal, but as far as gathering evidence, like a process, they're fairly new at that. So we're kind of helping them along with that.
So you have somebody seasoned with somebody new, and
and we switch around. So Kim will go with Donna, and I'll go with Eric, and then we'll switch, and then we'll put those two together, and we'll stay together, and then other times it'll be her and Eric, and me and Kim, and then sometimes we all just kind of go off in our own corners and split up in 4 ways.
And that's what's really interesting when you're when you're like myself and Moniz, you have the opportunity to work with different groups, is you get to try different dynamics and seeing what kind of results you can get out of that. Because I know a lot of people are like, well, when we investigate together, we get a lot of results, so we always stay together, because we get a response. Well, how do you know though that it's not just one of you that's getting that response, and if you go with somebody else, you might have something different happen? And I find that when you cross people, you cross theories, you cross ideas, you cross approaches, and you come up with things you never would have thought of. We've done that ourselves, where we've been just been kind of kicking around ideas and be like, well, let's try this and see what happens, and it works out. And now, so you guys also obviously working with Riley and Steven and working with some of the other people, it seems like you have no problem joining up with other groups and when an investigation calls.
And sometimes actually when we did the BBC, we actually had
we asked Mike and we asked Riley and Steve to come along with us. Absolutely, it's a big place.
We had Mike and Paula Markowitz, and we had Riley and Steve, and we had the 4 of us, and we the plan was that each group would be on a different floor. Because the place was so big.
How often does a plan in paranormal investigation actually
happen? This went horribly wrong.
Right?
See, I have kind of like a hard and fast rule now when it comes to an investigation. If there's any way possible, Mike Markowitz is there.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it without him there.
Yeah.
Because it's just amazing the stuff that he gets.
Mike's awesome.
Yeah, Mike's a great guy, and especially when he comes in and he's got his $1,500 recorder. And he goes, I hate this thing. I want the $2,500 recorder. He's like, this is garbage. I'm sitting there with my $50 recorder, going, I do pretty well with this.
And then, but it's funny because a lot of what he talks about flies in the face of what's the quote-unquote accepted belief.
Right.
A lot of investigators will say, well, I want the low-end recorder because it has more internal noise, which is what allows for the spirits to be able to come through. But then you get a guy like Mike who has...
I want it dead silent.
Yeah, and he has the highest fidelity instrumentation, and he's still getting phenomenal stuff coming out. So... it's interesting when somebody can go against the grain a little bit and still get positive results. And I think a lot of people would say, too, the same thing about those glasses, is that, you can't really trust what's coming out of them because you're jostling yourself around. But then when you hear something that's so obviously not the sound of you jostling around the glasses, you're like, oh, very interesting.
Actually, you don't really hear them moving. It's not like, when you have the handheld recorder... Right. You can hear your fingers moving on them, and you hear a lot of rustling and stuff like that. With the glasses, you really don't.
Unless you reach the microphone placed with the camera on the bridge?
It's on the left side, I believe.
Yeah, But you got to remember, they were actually designed.
They were designed for motorcycles.
Yeah, so you're gonna want wind resistant.
So they have to be pretty sturdy, and they are. They're not gonna fly off your head or anything. No, I used them last night actually. On investigation went on.
Yeah.
And
So the mic's on the bottom left.
Oh, okay. So now, do you ever use them in everyday situations and just make people think they're regular sunglasses?
Oh yeah, because they look just like regular sunglasses. Yeah.
So you're like walking around, nobody knows they're being recorded.
Actually, at the ParaCon, Steve Black he had them on, and he was recording while his son went to one of the card readers, and Steve recorded the whole thing. Nobody was completely oblivious.
Who's gonna know
that they were recording?
Which, of course, goes against privacy laws and all kinds of things. But hey, whatever.
But hey,
yeah, we didn't name it.
I didn't say I did it. Sorry, Steve.
There was no HIPAA agreement. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So if you want to check these glasses out for yourself, just go to ParaHunter.com. Again, they're $99. You said for the
$99 for the standard, and then the $150 for the IR.
And if you're going to get them, you might as well upgrade to the 16 gig too, because you're going to fill that up. With your investigation.
And then I should have brought one with me, but you can use the infrared emitters that you can get like off of Amazon for $40. They're just like the Polaroid ones, and we'll be selling the ones that will attach the glasses for $30 as soon as I make some of them.
Do we sell those on our site too?
Which?
The Amazon ones?
Yeah, we have Amazon links to general ghost hunting stuff that I found that other people sell, rather than me trying to stock it or just here's I'll take my 1% and let you buy it off of them.
Well, basically anything that we advertise on the site, we've researched, used, or want to get because it's good.
I think that's too what we're finding out is we're starting to see a lot more online shops that are gearing themselves toward the ghost hunter community, and when you're doing that, you have questions then about, well, if they're making it just for this purpose, I'm a little bit skeptical about how good it's going to be. So it's good that you're out there testing it and letting people know what you recommend. I always say to people too, just make sure if you're going to buy it, make sure you get that 30-day warranty. Yeah. Because it may not be what they promise that it is. But I can tell you that these glasses are what they promise they are, and I was just hoping I could have had a chance to, use them in a spy tech type capacity, but I don't know anybody important enough to capture anything, that would make me famous.
The only thing about them is that, when you have them recording and it's dark, there's a recording light that blinks in the corner of your eye, and if it's pitch black, it actually will light up the whole room with a blue flash.
Yeah, we
I don't know if you know.
That last night.
Yeah, we were in a pitch black room, and what is that light? Like, oh, it's me.
I was hoping, I could get somebody to confess to murder or something, but nothing.
A little bit of electrical tape over that light, and no problem.
And so if you want to follow along with the investigations and the different equipment that they use, you can just go to ParaHunter.com. It's linked up on the front page of SpookySouthcoast.com. We're going to take a break right now for just a minute or two, and when we come back, we'll talk. Is Chop still awake? Is he still in the chat room?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk with Carlston Chops Woods of Phantom PI about their upcoming episode. And I know if you guys haven't had a chance to meet and hang out, you guys are going to love Carl. You should definitely hang out and do some investigating yourselves. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, coming up in just a few minutes here on Spooky South Coast.
New England's largest volume discount tire dealer. We have shipments of Michelin tires arriving daily, all at the guaranteed lowest price. And when you buy your Michelin tires at Town Fair Tire, you get free mounting, free flat repair, free tire rotation, free snow tire changeover, and a free front wheel alignment. Remember, for the guaranteed lowest price on Michelin tires, nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody!
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
Yeah. Beer would be over there.
Hey,
When do you crave the refreshing taste of iced tea? Twisted Tea wants to know. After mowing the lawn, at a barbecue, on a really hot day, think about that same satisfying glass of iced tea, but with a kick. Twisted Tea is a hard iced tea that's made from beer, but tastes like real iced tea. And nothing satisfies like an ice-cold Twisted Tea. The next time you and your friends are looking for some refreshment, but you need a little kick, grab a Twisted Tea, the refreshing hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Drink responsibly.
Hello. Today we want to find out how big a good marriage is.
You mean how many people it affects?
Yes.
Let's go find out.
How big is it? I can't measure it.
Big!
It's worldwide. I would say big as the universe, and that universe is infinite.
So your marriage affects more than just the two of you.
How many people are we talking about?
At least 1,000.
Thousands.
Yeah.
If you bring joy to your marriage, people are kind of like, I want that too.
You're drawn to that because you see those nice people being together, being happy, and you want to enjoy that too.
If you were going to take all these people that your marriage has influenced, what kind of building would you need to house them all?
It's going to be quite a big building.
Stadium.
We're not the stadium level, a gymnasium.
Oh, that would have to be a cathedral.
So a good marriage really is good for more than two.
Yeah, a good marriage goes a long way.
Want to improve your marriage? For ideas, go to foryourmarriage.org. A message from the Catholic Church.
If this radio spot were Nikki Baker's life, it would start pretty normal, like this. But then
right around here, her life would take a bad turn with her mother abusing her.
And about this far in, Nikki would drop out of high school and run away.
Here, she'd be forced to work 2 jobs, struggling to support herself and her daughter.
She'd feel stuck.
But then, she'd decide to earn her GED diploma.
She'd take my prep classes.
Study every night.
And feel unstuck.
Because she'd finally hear someone say,
Nikki Baker, come up and get your GED diploma.
If this radio spot were Nikki Baker's life, the ending wouldn't be the ending at all. It would be the beginning of a brighter future. For free info about GED test prep classes, call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org.
GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education, brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hello.
Hey man, you up?
No.
Wake up, I need to talk to you. I think your house is haunted.
Hey, come on, it's 2:30 in the morning.
I can't sleep in here, man. I'm scared.
All right, welcome back to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with science advisor Matt Moniz. Silent Assassin Matt Costa sent me a text, stuck at work. So I think it's been like a month since I've seen the guy. After seeing him every day for like 15 years, I haven't seen him in like I've seen him I think for like 4 hours in the past like 3 months.
Costa withdrawals.
I'm going through it. I actually sent him a text earlier. I said I love you, just because I miss him so much.
It was fun having him as a neighbor.
For a little while, yeah, for the brief time. All right, well, we are back here for the final, about 7 or 8 minutes of the show, and joining us now on the line is our good friend Carlston Chops Wood of Phantom PI. You've heard him on the show before. Good evening, Carl. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Oh, we are spooktacular, as always.
Great show.
Thank you.
A lot of fun in the chat room with Dave and Mark and Lou and everybody else and stuff and everybody else that I miss.
You guys always have a good time in that chat room.
Yeah, we call it Comedy Southcoast.
So now, we were talking earlier today, and you were telling me that the new episode of Phantom PI is ready to air pretty much any day now.
The 28th of May.
Nice.
At 8 p.m. If you're in the Wareham area, you can see it on FiOS Channel 30 and Comcast Channel 9, or you can watch it stream at warehamtv.org. Stream number 1.
That's the best part, is you can be anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, and still be able to watch it.
Absolutely. I've got to get it somehow hooked up with Spooky South Coast so that everybody can watch it. You can watch it anyway, but I kind of want to hook it up with you guys, too.
Yeah, well, we can we can archive it for you. What I was thinking is we can put it in there and we can have it run kind of on a loop, so like it can run every couple of days. You'll see the episodes. And now you've had the first episode aired a few months ago, and that was filmed at the Seaport Inn.
We had the first episode aired a while back, and yes, it was. And we had the second episode air also, and you can see both of those episodes in their entirety on phantompi.com.
All right.
Just go to the videos page and check them out in there. But I have to tell you, this third episode that we have coming up is absolutely far and above, evidence-wise, of anything we've ever captured. You're going to see just about everything in this. And, of course, we had the marvelous Mr. Mike Markowitz grabbing some awesome EVPs for us. We also had the 4 of the 5 lovely Phantom PI ladies. Stephanie Burke is the lead investigator. We also had the lovely Tiffany Rice along for that ride, and Kristen Donahue and Ashley Beach. And what we did was we investigated the old town hall in Wareham.
Which, we can't really... We don't want to give away what it is now, do we?
Well, it operates as our studio.
Yeah.
But it is most definitely an old building, and it is across the tracks from the infamous Fearing Tavern. And if you look back into the history, you will find that when it was in operation as a town hall, that there are a couple of Fearings that were the town clerks in that building. And we had some amazing, amazing evidence. I mean, everybody says that, but you've got to watch this episode. It's just, you will be blown away.
Now, I was going to ask you, too, about the ladies that you do employ with Phantom PI. It's not
we don't say employ because there's no checks involved.
Yeah, if you say employ, they might expect something. But the women that you feature on Phantom PI, and it's important to note that many of them do have abilities. They do have psychic abilities, and they are able to communicate with the spirits. And I think that adds a very interesting dynamic to what they're doing, because I know that you're very science-based in your investigation. So for you to be working with a medium, I know that you must really trust them and trust their work.
I gave it a shot, and I thought that, perhaps it wasn't going to be as accurate as it might have been, but I was blown away.
Mm-hmm.
We walked through an old hotel, and Stephanie was the spirit medium that night, and she said, there's a little girl over here, and she'd walk a little further, and she said, there's a person over there, and I had never worked with a medium before, and I thought to myself, yeah, we'll see. So we packed up and went home, and I started going through the evidence, and lo and behold, every time she called something, it was 100% accurate.
So that kind of...
I just got on the phone and said, when do you want to go out again? It was amazing. I've absolutely been turned around. We actually work with, I think everybody but Kristen. You should probably correct me if I'm wrong, but everybody but Kristen is sensitive in some way, shape, or form. We've brought on board Nicole LaHouse, who is also a medium and a scientist, and we had her out last night on an investigation, and she was very accurate in describing some historical background and events. She'd never been to the location, and that will be a future episode. And we talked about that, too.
Very, very, very interesting to me that I know you're a guy that grew up reading Hans Holzer books, and now you're employing the Hans Holzer method in your investigations.
We live and we learn and we grow and we evolve, and you trial and error, and if it works, it's great, and if it doesn't, then you either see if it works the next time or move on to something else. I absolutely grew up in that tried and true scientific method. You got to have something that's hardcore evidence, and the whole Taps family thing, and I was just blown away, and I actually consider it a gift to these individuals and these talented ladies, and I just absolutely adore every single one of them, and they're actually, Stephanie, I call it GPS. She's a ghost positioning system or satellite.
All right, well, I hate to cut you off, Carl, but we're coming right up on the end of the show, so we just want to remind everybody, May 28th, warehamtv.org. Go to phantompi.com. There's a great article up there about your encounter with Grant Wilson. People can read that as well, so it's all up on Phantom PI. That's the place to go. Thank you so much for joining us.
You are welcome.
All right, have a great night, and thank you to Donna and Pete of ParaHunter.com for joining us as well. Check out all their sites. We'll be back next week. Until then, we want you all to stay spooktacular.
This is AM 1420, WBSM.